Odin Sphere Leafdrasir. Uh, this game is good. That's all I really have to say about it. It's a good action RPG. I haven't played any of the other games that these guys have made, like Muramasa or Dragon's Crown. But what I've played about Odin Sphere, it was re-released because like I heard a lot of people saying that like they got to the end of the game and they literally could not fucking beat it. Um, but the game was rebalanced, fucked with a little more up-res to HD. It's got this beautiful sprite art, George Kamitami, nailing it every time. Sexy women, beautiful art. It's all great. Odin Sphere, it's good, and I like it. Party hard. This game's pretty good. It kind of feels similar in its tone to Hotline Miami. But you're specifically like a serial killer who goes around killing everyone at loud parties because he's like that guy in that picture who's being kept awake by the party going on at 3 a.m. If you've seen that meme image that's been floating around recently. Um, but yeah, it's also like that scene in Catwoman, now that I think about it. Where Halle Berry is like, your party's too loud, can you be quiet? And he's like, lol, no. And she's like, bitch, be quiet. Yeah. Party hard. It all takes place on a single screen, which is interesting. So you're like a little guy on a big screen, you can't kill anyone despite it being a crowded party in front of people or else the cops will come. But you can narrowly avoid the cops. Sometimes you can change outfits. You can sabotage electrical equipment, like the giant uh, booming, like the big subwoofers next to a stage. Make them explode on a timer to kill a bunch of people, and everyone else will just keep on dancing. It's super cool. You have a dance button. Your character can dance. That's cool. You hold the dance button to dance. So it's automatically a 10 out of 10. But yeah, it didn't get nearly as much clout as Hotline Miami did. It is getting its own sequel, but I've heard mixed things about it. This is the big. Oh man. Where do I even fucking start? Excuse me, I'm still getting over my sickness. Man, Persona 5 is so fucking good. It's just the one thing you can say bad about this game is that in a lot of areas the localization is really rushed. But other than that, man, you know, aside from the script being a little rough in some places, you know, and that's even a localization thing. That's not a problem in Japanese. It's fucking so good. It's the best. It's an RPG that I give a shit about. Final Fantasy X, FF15, Final Fantasy anything, fuck all that. Persona is the dopest. I don't care what anyone says. I like relating to teenagers. I like pretending to get together with them. I like how the main character of this game fucks. I like how he is a man who fucks. Fucking in Persona 3 and 4 was only ever very distantly implied. It's like, you do, like a text box tells you, the scene fades out, then a text box says, you spent a long time together or something. Maybe you boned, maybe you bent her over that little futon, you Narukami, you motherfucker. Pierce that with that lightning bolt, Zio cock. But yeah, I don't know, man. Akira Kurusu is a man who fucks. Just like Sojiro Sakura is a man who fucks. But yeah, this game's aesthetic is probably the most perfect thing about it. And the music, it's interesting because beating Persona 4, it's funny, I beat Persona 4 3 days after Persona 5 was released. And Persona 5 was delayed a bunch of fucking times. Honestly, I would have rather it got delayed again so that the weird parts of the localization could have been ironed out more, but you know, whatevs. Um, but yeah, that really motivated me to finally beat Persona 4, and I did. And Persona 4 was great, but Persona 5, after I've beaten it, has just stuck in my mind so much harder, which I think is why I would ultimately say I prefer it. But like, just and it's always such a big fucking shit show, like nerds arguing about who the best girl is. Like everyone can agree that Yukiko's trash, but people are really defensive of like fuck you Rise, fuck you Chie, fuck you Naoto. But in Persona 5, it's all been really amicable. It was all great. It was all good. It was like, yeah, man, Anne's great. Her name is Anne, not On. That's another fucking weird thing about this game. The pronunciations, it's so weird. I hope this game gets re-released. Like P3 was released a bunch of was re-released a bunch of times. Persona 4 was remade. Persona 4 Golden. I hope Persona 5 gets a re-release. I hope it gets an expanded version. Persona 4 Crimson, whatever the fuck you want to call it. That's what I hope it's called. But I hope they tune up the localization and they redo at least some of the voice acting to fix those weird fucking pronunciations. Sakamoto? Are you fucking kidding me? It's so off-putting. This is the most... And just, some people don't care, and I get it, and I feel like I shouldn't care, but it is so... Ugh. It's like this fucking voice or ADR director, this guy telling them how to speak. It's like he thinks he knows better, or something, or he's just a fucking idiot who doesn't know how people talk. I don't care if it's the pronunciation. It's stupid. It sounds retarded. God. But all the girls are super cute. As you can tell. But yeah, thing about Persona 4, or rather Persona 5, is that the game has not really... The game itself has left my mind. But the game's soundtrack... Like, Persona 5... excuse me. Persona 4's soundtrack is great. But I have listened to the Persona 5 soundtrack like 5 times as much. Like, just Beneath the Mask alone is just such a perfect song for any situation. A calm drive, like studying, going to sleep, chilling with friends. The soundtrack is S tier. I don't listen. There are like 2 games. There are 2 video games that exist where I regularly listen to the soundtrack. Like, video games, by and large, have great music. Only 2 video games that I regularly listen to songs from are the Bushido Blade 2 soundtrack and Persona 5. And it's mostly just Beneath the Mask and fucking and fucking and and Life Will Change and all that good shit, and Rivers in the fucking desert. Holy shit. I beat this game a while ago. I beat this game for a few months. I had a lot of difficulties with it. Because I played the first few hours at a friend's house with his copy. That was my first experience. I was losing my fucking mind. I was so hype. It's such a good memory, hanging out with my friends. Finally playing Persona 5 after so long of waiting. Calling Professor Kamoshida a Jew, because he looks like a big Jew with his Jew fro and his Jew schnoz. But, it was all great times. And then I had to replay that intro again, And then some weird fucked up shit with my save file happened where it's like the game thought I had illegally obtained like pre-order DLC or something. So I had to start a new save, and then the fucking hard drive wipe that I mentioned earlier fucking happened, and that was its own debacle. And so it really soured the beginning of the game, uh, but the game's just fucking good. You know, it's just a great game that I feel great about. I don't know when I'll play it again. Because, like I said with Kingdom Hearts 2, you kind of only want to play long RPGs every once in a while. You know? So, you want to, like. I like to call it keeping things sacred. You know? You don't just play Persona 5 over and over again. That shit's sacred. You gotta bust it out every once in a while. It's like a nice. You don't drink fine wine wherever the fuck you are, because it stops being special. You know? I don't know if you can hear that. That's my brother laughing in the other room. But yeah, Persona 5 is fucking good, and I love it. It's the best RPG I've ever played. God, the fucking... Just looking at the icon up close right now, just the aesthetic is so fucking boss. I don't know why I use the term boss. I don't usually talk like that. Whatever. You get my point. I'll stop.